think it's time we start talking about mods and Final Fantasy Tactics, y'all. Now, before we get to the showcase, we need to go over some disclaimers. And number one is, this is going to be for PC players only. So if you're on a PlayStation 5 or the Switch, sorry, you're not going to have access to this, at least the ones that I'm showcasing, because we're going through the site Nexus mods. Now, disclaimer number two, we're using a mod called like Reloader, and this is going to be like a new launcher where you can drag and drop all of these mods into. You got to worry about the placement, but from there is where you can launch Final Fantasy Tactics with all the mods loaded up. So you kind of need that as a baseline. So if you have any questions about the installation process, go to Nexus Mods. They usually sort you out as far as making it very easy to understand what you need to do. But if you still don't understand it, leave a comment below. I'll do my best to try to help you out. But this video is mostly going to be a showcase, so let's get started. Oh yeah, and one more thing. Always remember to back up your saves before you start doing any modding in any game. But with that out of the way, yep, now let's get started. Now the first mod that I want to showcase is called FFT Color Customizer. And this is amazing because in the preview for Final Fantasy Tactics, we saw that Ramza sprite model. You could change what he looked like. So he could be like red armor, white armor, black armor, etc. And I was always thinking, ooh, are we going to be able to change our generic army? Are we going to be able to change their color palettes? Well, no, we couldn't do that. But with this mod, you can. So just pressing F1 while you're in game, and that's a huge emphasis for me, is the fact that mods that I use, I want them to be usable while I'm in the game. I don't want to have to do it beforehand and then load up the game and then for it to be applied. No, you can do this all while you're in game here. So you press F1, it's going to bring up this screen here, and you can see all the units that you can change, and you can even change the color palettes of your unique characters. So Agrias, Beowulf, etc. But going back here, let's go to the knight here. It gives you a bunch of like presets. So you have your original here, but then you can change them into something like the Corpse Brigade, and you get the preview right there. And all you need to do is hit save, and then the model color palette will change. But they go a step further. Not only, I mean, there's a crap ton of presets here. Every faction in the game, and then some just ones they made up themselves. Those are all available. But they take it a step further. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you see this one's on the Squire, the male. If we go to the male knight, you can customize the armor, the color palette, to your liking. You don't have to use one of the presets. You can do it all on your own. Now, there's some of these colors are like set in stone. For example, their hair color and their boot color, at least for the knight here, those are matching. You can't like individually change them. You have to, do them together. But other than that, this is amazing. I've always wanted to be able to change my generic as far as their armor colors, especially later on in the game when you see some of the other ones. You're like, wow, that's a really cool color set. I wish we had that, because you're always just stuck to the same generic sets that we've always had. And then for the unique characters, it's like, what if Agrias had brown hair instead? And with this mod, you can do that. Now this is, say, for the knight here, the example we're using, this is going to change the color palette for all of the generic male knights in your party. So you can't have like two characters that are both male knights and individually change their colors. No, they're going to be the same thing. But the female version, you have to set that up yourself as well. So if you have a male knight and a female knight, you can have them being two different color palettes. But if they're, again, the same gender, then yeah, they're going to share the same color palette. But other than that, this mod is amazing, happens in-game, and this is probably my favorite one out of the showcase, and we started off with a real banger. Now this next mod, very simple, but I think very necessary for veterans of the game, and that is JP Boost to all. Now if we head in-game here, you can simply see that every single job has that intrinsic passive trait, JP Boost. Why is this such a crucial thing? Well, JP Boost is almost like a necessary evil if you want to, get into the build craft as soon as possible, and it stinks to have your support ability slot always on JP Boost instead of, the other sandbox abilities that you can choose. So really simple one, just get rid of JP Boost. I thought they were going to do something with it as far as changing it to be more like this with the Evilise Chronicles, but nope, they left it the same. But this mod here, it fixes that. Alright, we've done a bunch of yapping about a bunch of like passive or cosmetic mods. What about some actual gameplay changing mods here? Well, if we take a look in battle here, this is random, expanded random battles. And so you can fight storied characters that you only get to experience them in the narrative, the main story. Now they're out in the open field. So we have this one here where we have some of the Knights Templar. We have Fulmar here, and he's got quite the setup as far as a build that we'd have to deal with. You can see that he's got all of his crushed weapons, and this is just, again, adding those storied characters to the random battles so you can fight them again and maybe test out your build craft, maybe expand upon your solo challenge series like myself. But we're not going to go through the battle here. Just know that there's the Knights Templar, you have the Lucavi you can face up against, you can go against the Angel of Blood again. All of them are available in different locations, kind of like how the random special encounters come up. These are their own random special encounters now. So a lot of fun, and we're going to save this battle for maybe another video. You know what really grinds my gears about Final Fantasy Tactics Tactician mode? It is the fact that in the storied missions, the generic enemies that you go up against do not scale up to your party's level. Kind of like how random battles work where the monsters will scale up to your level. Well, the storied missions, guys, they don't do that. It was always very annoying, especially in Tactician mode. It made out-leveling them super easy. Well, with this mod here, the storied characters, the generics you go up against, they will scale up with your level. So our Ramza is level 99, so you see that there's a level 87, they go up to 97, so they're in the ballpark actually, because prior to this, man, you get to this part and they'd be level like 50, and you'd be like, oh, I'm level like 90 something, I'm just gonna absolutely steamroll them. Does this make the game substantially like harder? Not really, but it does bring it, I would say, on a more fair playing field, because it is, again, very easy to outlevel the story in this game, especially if you want to get into the build craft, again, really early, and you don't want to, like, I don't know, kind of like nerf yourself or like hold back on unlocking certain jobs early on, because you know, well, if I get that a job unlocked, then that's going to boost me up by like 10 levels and then the story is just going to be a cakewalk. No. This mod here is going to preserve some of the difficulty, and it's definitely a mainstay in my like repertoire for replaying the game now. Now, last and certainly not least, the last mod that I want to showcase is returning Dark Knight and Onion Knight, or I should say adding Dark Knight and Onion Knight to Ivalice Chronicles because they're from War of the Lions. You can see here in the job menu here, Ramza is a Dark Knight, and it comes in right after all the OG jobs here. So Dark Knight here comes with everything from War of the Lions, and we're going to show off a little bit of Sanguine Blade here. Now, Dark Knight is overpowered. It's very strong. It is one of those jobs that is just crazy good, but comes with Sanguine Blade here, and it works just like it should. Making sure all the sounds are in. Yes. So it works, and I say it works, but it actually healed us for a lot more than it should have. So, anyways, it's very nice to have. Definitely something that we'll talk about in a second. But yes, Onion Knight, Dark Knight, back in the game. That is always a good thing in my book, and this mod brings it to life. Alright y'all, that's all the mods I want to showcase in this video here. Now, what I want to mention about Dark Knight and Onion Knight is the fact that the previous game director, Matsuno, who worked on Ivalice Chronicles as well, said that Ivalice Chronicles sold better than expected. At least they were hitting milestones way earlier than they thought. So that has opened up the door to this game maybe potentially receiving some updates. And now the lowest hanging fruit for that is adding in War of the Lions content into Ivalice Chronicles. So Dark Knight, Onion Knight, hopefully the Rendezvous missions. That's really the one that I really want. I want more actual battle content in the game, and them adding that because after you beat a Rendezvous mission, you get like this rotating chest that you get to choose, and it'll have whatever various rewards in it. But hopefully they add in the original War of the Lions content with the Dark Knight, so that mod maybe won't be so necessary. So that's what I was alluding to there. Now, as far as other mods to be showcasing, they do have a mod adding in Blue Mage and Red Mage, and then there are other various ones, other quality of life that I think are really cool too, but I'm kind of saving that for, I guess, another video or a follow-up video, because I want to wait till there's a slew of mods I can show off, maybe sticking to doing 5 a video. But yeah, the ones I showed off here are definitely my top priority, that are just quality of life things that after you're done with the base game and doing all that and you're going to do some replaying, then some of these mods just make it that much more enjoyable, and that's kind of the point of mods in my book. So if you all have made it this far, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Help me out with the algorithm, leaving a like, and if this is your first time, consider subbing to the channel. But yeah, guys, I will see you guys next time. Peace and take care.